When it comes to NBA players with exciting lives off the court, Rudy Gobert isn't really a name that comes to mind. After all, he's just a 7-footer French center with some pretty insane defensive skills. Nothing else, right? Wrong. To put it simply, there's so much more about Rudy Gobert you had no idea about. So stick around as we reveal how Rudy Gobert's lifestyle is not what you think. The journey to becoming a multiple-time Defensive Player of the Year began in June 1992 in Aisne, in the northern region of France. Rudy Gobert was born to his dad, Ruby Bourgarel, and his mother, Corinne Gobert. Many people don't know this, but Rudy's dad actually played basketball, and not just on the rural levels, no. Despite being a Guadeloupe native, Bourgarel actually was so good, he got to play college basketball at Marist College in New York, alongside former Indiana Pacers star center Rick Smits during the 80s. After college, Gobert's dad nearly made it to the NBA, but due to some issues with the French national team, he ended up playing in Paris and Saint-Quentin, where he met Gobert's mother. Corinne, on the other hand, was a hairdresser, and while that seemed enough to raise Rudy and his two older siblings at first, she and Bourgarel separated when Rudy was just 3 years old. This made things much tougher, as Corinne had to raise Gobert and his siblings in just a 2-bedroom apartment off the earnings of a hairdresser. The family struggled mostly, but Rudy was able to find an escape through basketball by the time he was just 9 years old. He started playing for the JSC Saint-Quentin club before later joining the Saint-Quentin BB club. Just 4 years later, he had improved so much that he was let into the Cholet Baskets Cadet Categories Training Center. His development and crazy growth spurt saw him move to the Cholet basketball junior team by 2009, before moving up to the team's senior roster, where he recorded 6 points, 5 rebounds, 1 steal, and 1 block in the 13 minutes of his professional debut against Polac Orte in May 2011. By this time, Rudy had begun representing his country at the under-18s level, finishing as France's best scorer and rebounder at the FIBA Europe Under-18 Championship in 2010. It was during the 2011-2012 season that this dude really began to pop off though. He got way more playing time in the Championnat National League for Cholet and helped France to the bronze medal at the 2011 FIBA Europe Under-20 Championship. Pretty cool, yeah? Well, Gobert was just getting started. In his final season playing in France, he averaged 8.4 points and 5.4 rebounds per game in 27 games, won the silver medal at the 2012 FIBA Europe Under-20 Championship, and was named to the all-tournament team alongside countryman Leo Westermann. Rudy was clearly ready for a higher level, so he declared for the 2013 NBA draft, and when the day came, he was selected as the 27th overall pick by the Denver Nuggets. Yeah, you probably didn't know that too, but he actually got drafted by the Nuggets, only to get traded on the same night to the Utah Jazz. Unlike the other NBA stars we talk about on this channel though, Rudy Gobert didn't really hit the ground running. Sure, he had that 10 points game against the Oklahoma City Thunder, but at the end of the season, he was averaging just 2.3 points and 0.2 assists in about 45 games. He even ended up getting sent to the NBA Development League for 8 games. Yeah, it got that bad. But Rudy focused on his game, and by the next season, he was voted 3rd in the NBA Most Improved Player Award, having recorded 25 double-doubles that season. His numbers steadily improved in the years that followed, and he had proved himself enough by 2016 that the Jazz extended his contract with a bumper deal. That season ended up being his first All-NBA season, with him as the league's blocks leader. Between that season and his final season in Utah, Gobert got selected to 6 consecutive All-Defensive First Teams, earned 4 All-NBA honors, 3 All-Star nods, and was named the Defensive Player of the Year 3 times, averaging 14.8 points, 2.3 blocks, and an insane 13.1 rebounds per game in that span. He also got back-to-back French Player of the Year awards during this time frame. Clearly, he had cemented his place as a Utah Jazz all-timer, being ranked in their top 10 all-time leaders in everything from games played to free throws, offensive and defensive rebounds, blocks, third, points, and even effective field goal percentage. He eventually left Utah for the Minnesota Timberwolves in July 2022, but the Frenchman did that in the best way possible, as the Jazz got Patrick Beverley, Malik Beasley, Jared Vanderbilt, Leandro Bolmaro, as well as draft rights to center Walker Kessler and 4 first-round picks and a 2026 first-round pick in exchange. As far as benefiting from trades goes, it really doesn't get any better than the Jazz got. Don't get it twisted though. The Wolves wouldn't complain about giving so much to get Rudy, And we're not just talking about his numbers, but also his all-around effect on the team. Since joining the Minnesota Timberwolves, Rudy Gobert has averaged 13.5 points, 12.5 rebounds, and 1.2 assists in about 135 regular season games. As impressive as that sounds, his teammate, Anthony Edwards, has averaged 25.4 points, 5.4 rebounds, and 4.6 assists in 127 games played with him. Together, this duo has become one of the most formidable in the league. Sure, the Wolves have the likes of Karl Anthony Towns, Naz Reid, and Mike Conley, all putting up impressive numbers, but the real work that has the Timberwolves as third in the West this season is from the Gobert-Edwards combo. With the Ant-Man being probably the best young player in the league, and Rudy being a veteran with over a dozen years in the league, the two play at very different speeds, but they've found a way to make it work. Edwards has learned to understand how Gobert likes to receive passes, while the Frenchman has had to gain Edwards' trust that if he throws the big center of the ball, Gobert will definitely get on the end of it. Gobert hopes to create the sort of partnership with Edwards that he had with Joe Ingles in Utah, which requires the youngster slowing down his game to allow himself to make the reads that mess with the defense. Most importantly, both guys have been open about working together to achieve the big goal of bringing a ship to Minnesota. Talking about Gobert, Edwards recently said, "I'm learning more and more as the games we play together, like two-man action. How long it takes him to roll. Should I wait on him this time? Should I go? He talks to me. He helps me a lot. And it goes both ways." With Gobert having said, "For me, when I know the coverage, I know that sometimes I'm going to have to hold the screen. Sometimes I'm going to have to roll quick. Sometimes I'm going to be in the pocket for him." He's getting better and better at being able to recognize different ways that they're going to guard him. With this attitude to teaming up, the partnership of this duo is only going to get better. And speaking of young players Rudy has a good relationship with, there's his fellow countryman Victor Wembanyama. French players have a reputation for having very good relationships in the NBA. Tim Duncan, Boris Diaw, Joakim Noah all have very good relationships. However, what Rudy Gobert and Wembanyama have is more than just a professional rapport. It's more of a real-life friendship. Their relationship goes as far back as when Wemby was just a 13-year-old kid making waves in France. Gobert linked up with him, and they've been in close contact since then. When they did get to face off against each other for the first time in November 2023, Gobert's Timberwolves beat the Spurs 117-110. But afterwards, they shared a good laugh, with Gobert telling reporters, "I'm a proud dad." Their rapport is something fans love to see, and we'll see more of it in the years to come. The two are expected to also be on the French national team for the 2024 Summer Olympics in Paris. Already, Gobert has helped France to a silver medal in the last Olympics, as well as 2 FIBA World Cup bronze medals in 2014 and 2019, as well as a silver medal and a bronze medal at Eurobasket in 2022 and 2016 respectively. Having someone like Wemby on the team with him is really going to boost the team's chances of finally getting gold. Weirdly enough, as much as they'll have to work together for their country, they're at loggerheads in the race for this season's Defensive Player of the Year award. Bam Adebayo, Jarrett Allen, and Anthony Davis are all in the conversation for the award. But at the end of the day, it comes down to the two 7-foot-plus Frenchmen. Despite the Spurs languishing in last place in the West, Wembanyama is averaging an insane 10.4 rebounds and 3.4 blocks per game. Definitely one of the best defensive stats we've ever seen from a rookie. But then Gobert is on 12.9 rebounds and 2.1 blocks per game. Need we say more? Probably not. The difference is clear, and with the Timberwolves looking more like contenders, Gobert has the team around him to lift him to his joint record 4th Defensive Player of the Year award. That's not the only thing Rudy has going on from this season though. Recently, during the Timberwolves' overtime loss to the Cleveland Cavaliers in March 2024, Rudy kinda lost his temper and got slammed with a $100,000 fine for his troubles. Dude got fouled for the 6th time, and when he didn't get the call, he made the money gesture towards the referee, which apparently suggests match fixing. And he didn't stop there. Despite getting a technical foul for his gesture, Gobert still went ahead to call out the refereeing in the post-match interview, saying, "I'll bite the bullet again. I'll be the bad guy. I'll take the fine, but I think it's hurting our game. I know the betting and all that is becoming bigger and bigger, but it shouldn't feel that way." We can't say how true his accusations are, but one thing's for sure, you don't want to get on the wrong side of Rudy Gobert. As much as a $100,000 fine sounds though, it doesn't really matter to Gobert given how much money he's made playing basketball. Even his rookie contract would cover that bill easily. That first deal was worth $5.5 million over 4 years, with $2,206,200 guaranteed at signing and a $1,375,842 average salary. But since then, Rudy has really leveled up. His next deal, which he signed with the Utah Jazz in 2017, was worth a crazy $102 million over 4 years, with $94 million guaranteed and a $25,500,000 average salary. This deal made him the highest paid French athlete ever at the time in terms of salary per year. But he didn't stop there. His current deal is worth over double that. For specifics, it's a 5-year, $205 million contract, all guaranteed. Now that's some crazy money. Rudy also makes another couple of millions on the side from his endorsement deals with companies like Nike, Yoplait, and Intensa Fitness. The million-dollar question of how he spends his money, however, is something that hasn't exactly been revealed. Dude only has one all-black Range Rover that costs him about $300,000 in his garage. The only other expensive purchase he has is his modern Salt Lake City home, which he bought in 2017 for $3.9 million. He recently announced that he was expecting a child with his gorgeous girlfriend, Julia Bonilla, so let's just guess he's saving up all his millions for his child.